what we find is that people know where they want to go. They just don't know how to fill in those pieces. And a lot of times the outside coach, what we do is help identify those holes, and we help guide them through that process.
Hi, Jonathan. Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you taking out time for this conversation. So I think a great starting point for our conversation will be if you can talk a little bit about your own experience, your professional journey, and your vision and mission behind Pierhead Lighthouse, what you are trying to accomplish at this organization.
Of course, of course. Good morning, and thank you for having me on. So I am the founder and president of Pierhead Lighthouse, which is a small startup coaching and consulting company. And it's based on my years of experience, having built leadership roles over 20 plus years in a medium-sized healthcare system. I was a chair of a department, vice president, and then president of the medical staff, essentially chief of staff and sitting on the board of governors. But I also have a lot of experience in the corporate world with pharma, diagnostics, and medical device, also being a co-founder of a medical device company. So I've been taking a lot of this experience and I brought it into Pierhead Lighthouse as a way of guiding others in coaching and in guiding others in consulting, whether it's on the business side or helping providers with burnout, with career situations, whether it's for performing market valuations for investors. We do a lot of work for us. And I've taken these 20 plus years of experience and really focused and honed it so that I can deliver the best experience for those people I work with.
Sounds great. Thank you for sharing that. So, for the sake of our listeners, are you currently focused in around medical industry for coaching and consultancy, or you are also open for working with other industries or people from other walks of life as well?
We primarily focus on the healthcare field. Anybody in or around or related to healthcare, not just providers. It can be providers, which are physicians, nurse practitioners, PAs, but we've worked with nurses, we've worked with pharmaceutical reps, we've worked with managers who are related, we've worked with other entrepreneurs who are related in the healthcare field, either executives in biotech, and we've also worked with investment companies to help identify and coach and guide them. Basically anybody related. So we start to see the creep, and we do have a few people who work with us who are not healthcare related to give more business-based consulting and coaching. So we have a very good person who came out of the media industry, was in the media industry as a top executive who does a lot of coaching and business work with individuals through us.
Makes sense. So, as I understand, you are offering your coaching services to a wide spectrum of roles. Typically, usually they are the people in this space, they are more focused on leadership or C-level or vice president level executives. But it appears to me from what we talked is that you are not only focused at that level, but you are also working on other hierarchies of the organizations as well for coaching and growth and leadership. Is this correct?
That is correct. So we take a philosophy that everybody is a leader in some respect. We call it micro leadership, that even at lower levels, even at base entry levels, that everybody is a leader. And there are different aspects and personality traits that can be coached, mentored to develop small leadership skills that can build and compound and snowball. So even though someone is in a C-suite level, they may be in a middle management level or even an entry level. We coach and mentor people to build those skills to help them move up in their chain so that they can succeed in their leadership journey. It doesn't matter where you are. Everybody has leadership capability. And even when you're at a lower level, you still have leadership capacity and responsibilities. Even if you're a front desk customer service representative working on the phone, leadership skills are transferable everywhere in every industry at every level.
Makes sense. I think you are right that if we bring in this sense that you can be a leader without having an official title, I think this is going to transform workplaces. So I want to understand your process of coming upon, I would say, guidelines or curriculum or outline for training, because it seems like that you are working, as you are working on many levels for growth and coaching. There might be different things suited for different level of where folks are right now in their career. So what are the approaches, or how do you go about identifying what will be the right track for someone who is, for example, a medical officer? What will be the right track for coaching them, and what are the skill sets they need to learn in order to become more effective and useful?
So we take an approach, it's a three-step approach. And some of this came from my background in the military. I was in the United States Air Force there as a reservist for 4 years. The military attitude is you take everybody down to a base level and then build them up together. Now, we don't do that because everybody comes in usually individually, although we have started looking at the idea of doing group coaching sessions and group mentorship. But the three-step process is, first, we want to find out what your goals are. Every person comes in with different sets of goals based on what they want, where they are, where they want to be. So we assess everybody individually. The second part, what we do is we find out what your basic leadership capacity and capabilities are. We'll do anything from a Myers-Briggs, we'll do basic questionnaires. We get a sense of who they are, what their baseline levels are, and what their capacity is. We have a philosophy that every leader has a different style, and one of the best things we can do is to lean into that style. People tend to do best when they work with their natural talents. So we want to find your natural leadership talents and help hone those. There's an old saying that I learned from working with somebody many years ago when I was in a corporate role, is that, you play to your strengths and cover your weaknesses. Now, that is valid. We don't want to just cover our weaknesses. We want to help shore those up and develop those areas of weakness, but we really want to play to our strengths. And so we identify what people's natural strengths are. The third part is we often will try to identify somebody within our organization or who we have as an ancillary consultant who might be a better fit, whether it's myself, whether it's somebody else in the healthcare area, or if somebody needs somebody who isn't related to healthcare, we will try to pair them with somebody who might be a better fit as a coach. We tend to find that in most fields, coaches, just like providers, like counselors, they tend to match their clients. And clients often respond better to certain coaches, mentors, consultants with particular set aspects than they do with others. So we try to do a matching profile if we can. So we do a three-step process to get them the best profile we can, to give them the best success and long-term capability that we can.
Makes sense. So you are in, from business standpoint, you are in B2B or B2C. What I want to understand is that do you work directly with companies and then their employers, or someone can walk up to you and can avail the coaching independently as well without involving their organization?
We tend to do most of our work without being involved with an ancillary organization or outside organization. People tend to come to us as a direct response, reaching out, asking for guidance. We set up an introductory call, we find out what their needs and goals are, and then we work from there.
Makes sense. So do you work on, because when we talk to some of the coaches and in this space, they focus on building a consistent trajectory or path for their students. So for example, if somebody comes to you and they have ambitions that they want to be chief operating officer one day, do you build a full career path for them and help them see what they need to learn in order to reach there? What I want to understand is that, is there any approach you are using which gives them a full-fledged consistent path to walk on in order to achieve their maximum potential, or what is your approach in this?
So going back to what we talked about, it's the identifier of finding their areas of weakness, their gaps, their knowledge and experience gaps. Once we identify those, then we find how we can fill those spaces in. We want to build on their strengths, but we want to fill in those gaps to give them the best capability. If someone wants to be a COO, we have to identify where they are, what gaps they have, and how we're going to fill them. Whether it's individual certifications, whether they need to do a graduate certification program, or in some cases, we've actually recommended some people go on to get certain degrees. I was working with somebody who is a healthcare provider, a hospitalist, who wanted to get into leadership roles, had only dabbled in some of the business courses. And after identifying, he had originally considered doing a master's in public health, but based on his particular roles, we identified it would be better for him to enroll in a master's in business program. And then
Right.
we helped him identify the best programs for his needs and desires at his price point and guided him into that. And now he's actually a head hospitalist at a medium-sized regional institution. So we identify the knowledge gaps, help guide people to where they need to be. What we find is that people know where they want to go. They just don't know how to fill in those pieces. And a lot of times the outside coach, what we do is help identify those holes, and we help guide them through that process.
Right, makes sense. So it seems that you are, because most of the coaches, they work more on, as you was saying, on the business side of things or on the personality side of the things, that they may help you with becoming better listener. They may help you with handling difficult conversations, but I think they are typically not very well experienced in helping you identify the technical certifications which you should be going through, or any STEM degree or something like that. So it seems like that you are giving your students a holistic view of what they need to learn, not only on the personality or business side, but also on the technical skill set and certification side, in order to reach where they want to be.
Exactly. And each client has specific needs, and sometimes they don't even know what those needs are. A lot of times it's a matter of having a interchange, a discussion, and then we can find the knowledge gaps or skill gaps during those discussions. I was working with a client who was a manager at a healthcare system. She was reporting to the CFO, and she knew her difficulties in reporting certain things. Her responsibilities were being expanded to the point that she didn't feel she had the capability to deliver the best role, the best job, the best reporting that she could. She wasn't sure how she could relay her needs and desires to the CFO.
Right.
So once we identified that, we engaged in interchange of role play where I played her role, she took the role of the CFO, and it helped her identify the best way to communicate her needs, desires, and capabilities to make sure that she was delivering what the organization need while fulfilling her responsibilities. It's all about the conversation back and forth. And sometimes it takes time. We can identify that sometimes in 10 or 15 minutes. There have been situations where we've had to take, 2 to 3 sessions, an hour each every few weeks to identify where we need to go.
Makes sense. So if you talk a little bit about your assessment process, because if I'm understanding correctly, assessment process is the foundational most important step. So if you are able to assess someone correctly, where they are and what are the gaps, I think this definitely sets them up for the right trajectory. So how does your current assessment process looks like? For example, if somebody walks in and they need help, they know where they want to be. So will you guide them through a series of assessments, all those assessments online, in person, through any online platform, or through one-on-one meetings? How does that process look like from your standpoint?
So what we do is we give homework. When a person books an assessment, we have a client reaching out. We have an introductory call. We just get a sense that if it's a right fit, if they decide to sign, we will send them what we call homework. They will get an online assessment for an MMPI, a Myers-Briggs, or something else to identify their basic leadership skills. They get an intake form. And the intake form is about 2 to 3 pages. It's several different areas and aspects of what they need, what they want, where they see themselves, where they see they want to be. And our first call is usually reviewing all those materials. The idea is to get a sense, just like as a physician, we assess a patient, we also assess our client. We want to know where you are. I have a saying in management, because I have a master's in business, a master's in law, a master's in public health. And what we do is, I've been saying for years, even at the board levels, you can't manage it if you can't measure it.
Yeah.
And if we have a client who comes in, having just a generic amorphous discussion doesn't help. We need to get a baseline with specific points, and then we can use those baseline points to measure against future progress. And that's what we usually do. And periodically, through our discussions, we'll give them homework again to see how they've changed, where they started, and then on their assessments, where they feel they are and still need to go.
Makes sense. So, if we replicate a scenario, for example, if I tell someone from my team that, hey, you are not yet ready for one particular role, and they come to you and they start getting your help and they start getting your coaching, and after 1 year, they feel that they are ready enough to be promoted. Do you also help them get some sort of reports or some sort of certification or anything that can certify that they have been under your coaching and they have, for example, mastered these 5 or 10 skills, or they have completed these requirements? How does this process looks like from the point of view of clear visibility in terms of where they were when they started and where they are right now at the completion of the whole program?
That's a great question. And what we've done before in certain circumstances is we've written letters of what we call letters of recommendation, that the client will ask for a letter to outline their coaching progress as a final statement. And we've written letters to their organization saying that, the client has been part of our coaching program. They've achieved several skill sets, and this is what we do. We don't necessarily say they are set for a particular role, but we do it as a letter of recommendation for what the client has been through and where they currently stand.
Makes sense. As part of your whole ecosystem, do you also rely on any tools, applications, platforms in order to track the progress or in order to execute coaching or sessions? For example, any online tools, any platforms, any AI enabled applications that may be part of your whole program, or most of this is right now being managed manually from human to human perspective at the moment?
So another great question. We actually do mostly human to human, but we do use AI to augment evaluations. So when clients will do assessments at a baseline and then the periodic updates for monitoring, we actually feed that into AI to do correlations. And a lot of times the best way is we take qualitative data and put it into a quantitative form that we can track. So if somebody says that they don't necessarily feel ready in a particular leadership skill, we might assign a number to that, 1 through 10. Okay. And then when they follow up 2 months later or 3 months later with the same form, and because we periodically give them the same homework, they put down that they feel more confident but not fully, we might assign a 5 to that number, where it was a 2 before. And what we feed it into AI, and AI just basically outputs tracking trends, usually graphic or linear number sequences, and we can monitor their progress that way. It gives us a way of taking qualitative information and giving us quantitative material that we can track as a KPI for our individual clients.
Right, makes sense. So your coaching is in person, or it's also virtual? I mean, it's also video based, or it's mix of both? How exactly what is the best way you feel it's the most effective approach? In person, hybrid, or fully remote?
We do almost exclusively video remote. I have engaged clients that are local from local healthcare systems. And if we're close enough, we will actually meet in person. I have actually gone to their places of work, their offices, but the vast majority is, for convenience, a video call. And we find it works well. Why? Because sometimes clients have come up with last minute issues and they want to book a call within the same day. And I will usually take my, during the morning, 15, 30 minutes, an hour during lunchtime, we will talk. And a lot of these are same day. You can't really do that in person. Sometimes it's coaching with crisis management. They're
Right.
facing an issue. They realize that they have a meeting coming up. They're not sure how they need to prepare, and we help walk them through that.
Right, right. This is very useful, I'm sure, if because if they are able to get your advice or help on real world scenarios and challenges, I'm sure that learning is very useful and it stays with you for long term. So I think all of us, there is a that the time we are getting through artificial intelligence is coming into all of us jobs and roles and responsibilities, and I see that not only junior level but even senior level individuals and leaders are in a state of uncertainty at the moment, that what future holds for them, and you are in a business of helping people see their potential and polish that potential. Do you have any advice on this uncertain time for listeners, if they are in a, let's say, middle management at the moment, and they are not sure how much their current jobs will be replaced by AI or bots or tools? What advice would you give them to remain calm, and what areas would you point them to work more and more in order to become relevant and effective in this future?
Excellent question. I actually wrote about some of this on my LinkedIn profile, mostly in the healthcare aspect with AI in healthcare. AI is becoming more ubiquitous. AI is taking over several roles, but these are mostly entry-level roles. I don't believe that AI is going to directly replace anyone immediately. Will it happen? Probably within 3 to 5 years. There are certain jobs that may be at risk. So the way to maintain relevancy is, first, we have to advocate that the human always remain at the center of AI. First, reach out through your organization, make sure you're part of the process, engage the stakeholders so that the person stays at the center of this. That AI is the tool, not the replacement. Second, we need to become comfortable with artificial intelligence, engage in education, certifications, so that when the time comes, you are comfortable enough engaging with artificial intelligence to expand your role. You have to think of artificial intelligence, AI, is a force multiplier, not a replacement. It's like any other tool. If you're a carpenter, you can use a hammer and a nail, or you could use AI as the nail gun. It's much more effective. You're still in control, but you can achieve more at a greater scale than you could before. That is going to be the key. And this is what people need to realize. They shouldn't have fear. They need to just learn a new set of skills to be able to work harder and more relevant in the future.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you so much. High performance is another area where with the AI, now I think every organization is expecting their workforce to be performing 2 times, 3 times, or 5 times more than they used to be. And high performance has become a point of competition and at the same time stress as well. What are common things or habits or approaches, in your opinion, that everyone can bring into their daily working to help them with achieving high performance, or at least move the scale towards that direction?
There are two main functions that I would recommend immediately. One is education. Learn, 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 read, read, read. Identify your knowledge gaps and read. It doesn't matter what you read, as long as you become familiar with the concepts and you can drill down, learn more as time goes on. Whether you want to be certified, you want an actual degree, we need to identify knowledge gaps and read. Gain the knowledge, gain those skills. Second, collaborate. Oftentimes, we exist in environments, in organizations that are too competitive. We tend to compete with each other and fellow leaders. Fear of our jobs, fear of their positions, fear of the work. So what we have to do is, instead of working against each other in organizations, which tends to happen in certain places, we find this very rampant in healthcare, in investment environments. People are very competitive. Work in a collaborative setting. Everyone has gaps. And a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. If you identify the weakest link, you can shore up that link. You can identify who has the great skill on the team for a certain aspect, who doesn't have a certain skill. You start to identify how you can collaborate and fill each other's gaps. It's kind of it's the Swiss cheese model.
Yeah.
If everybody has knowledge gaps, and if you line up the knowledge gaps improperly, things will fall through the cracks. High reliability, high progressive organizations that have great success are those that identify the knowledge gaps in individuals and don't line up the knowledge gaps. They alternate their knowledge gaps. So an individual who may not be strong in one area partners with someone who has that strength, and vice versa. And what happens, we find, is that the collaboration actually becomes synergistic. It's no longer 2 + 2 is 4, now 2 + 2 is 5. And you find these organizations have greater ability to progress and become more successful than they were before.
Right, it makes sense. So, how big is your team right now? Do you have other coaches on your team as well? So, if somebody contacts you, will you be the one guiding them through next, or you are also able to offload some of your clients to other coaches or other team members as well?
There's four of us. I'm the main. My wife actually is a leadership coach. We have somebody identified for business. We have two people who are identified in business, and we are actually looking to expand our team as we grow. So as we get bigger, we will slowly expand our team. I actually have a partner in another field who acts as a mentor and a coach in certain respects for entrepreneurship and in biotech. So we're slowly expanding our capability. The idea is that one person can't fit everything for everyone. So if I don't have the capability, what I do is I will find somebody within our organization. And what I have done at times, there have been times where sometimes I identify where we don't have that knowledge capability, and we partner with other coaches, and we have an informal network of other coaches. And I've actually had somebody where they came in, they wanted coaching and learning capability in value-based care. We don't do a lot of work in that. So I actually know a coach who does that type of work, and I had sent the client over to her, and it worked very well.
Perfect, perfect. So let's talk about your big picture vision for Pierhead Lighthouse. For next 2 years, what are the areas you are looking forward to focus more on, and where you want to see Pierhead Lighthouse in next 2 years? Of course, you mentioned about growing the business, bringing in more coaches on board. Apart from this, what is the big picture vision for you, and do you feel that you have everything available to make that happen?
We do. We would start to see ourselves getting into organizational coaching and training, going into organizational level to help boards, medical staff processes, coaching teams, educating teams, operational performance, operational excellence, operational improvements, either through team building exercises, team direction, identifying business structures. What we find is that certain consultants come in and they focus on one aspect. They focus on operational improvements, but they often forget that you have to focus on the team and the team aspects. What we're looking at doing eventually is coming in as a team from Pierhead, identifying team building, team dynamics, leadership skill set building and how that will affect our organizational performance, while we're also work on the business side, finances, operational excellence, because they feed off each other. They're synergistic. A great team can't drive a great organization, no matter how efficient it is. An efficient organization needs a great team, vice versa. So we found that through our conversations that we eventually want to get into that organizational level, holistic approach.
That's very powerful and very, I think, very much aligned with upcoming needs. So thank you so much, Jonathan. I think we had a great conversation. I really loved your insights and the wisdom you shared. And I'm personally walking away today with a lot of new learning. So thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your thoughts and enlightening us with what you are trying to accomplish. And best of luck. I truly believe that you are going to make a huge impact with the personality and approach you have.
Thank you, and it was a pleasure, and thank you for having me.